Selling with PoCs. So I'm going to walk you through a process that I just gave to one of my clients of how they could structure their sales process against a PoC in a way that I have found works for a lot of my other clients. So my name is Ulrik. I'm a SaaS pricing expert. I've run 150 or so projects with complex B2B SaaS, written a ton of books about this, and I help clients all over the world. So with this particular case, I'm not going to tell you who the client is, but it's a European, very fast-growing AI startup, and they're doing a lot of POCs in sort of the enterprise segment. And so we were talking about with their new sort of VP sales around how he could structure the POCs, proof of concepts, so that the customers could actually understand what the value was before they were buying. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to take a very long enterprise sales cycle and compress it into something that is shorter. And their particular product is really well suited for a POC because they can take a small part of the business and do something really spectacular in a few weeks. So you can see value in 10 days. So that's really great. And the onboarding actually isn't that heavy. So from a POC standpoint, it's like a perfect sort of case here. But still, there can be a lot of things that are dropped or missed or like failed altogether if you don't structure the POC correctly. So I basically sort of drew up this structure for him. And there are going to be a few principles that I want to highlight throughout the structure to sort of explain my thinking and what's going on in this sales process. So first, before I show you like these steps, I want to show you sort of what he was doing or talk to you what he was doing and where that failed. So often he would reach out to an enterprise customer, they would reach out to him and he would have a meeting around sort of what the product does, and they would be excited, and then he would schedule a demo and he would demo it, and then they would sort of go into sort of a little bit more indecision, and they would then try to schedule some sort of follow-up, try to book a POC. They would then discuss the POC for a while, then they would actually do the POC, and then the POC would just run, and then while the POC was running, he would sort of keep chasing them for a decision, and sooner or later they would come and say, okay, we really like the product, it's a great POC. What does it do? And then also what are the commercials? And then he would write them an offer. And then they would get a little bit of sticker shock because we did their pricing. And then they would have a process where they would ultimately come around. Then they would do legal review. And then finally, after 3, 4, 5 months, they would close and then they have a new customer. Or they would just time out and run into indecision. So what we want to do is we want to take this process, increase the conversion rate, and shorten the sales cycle. So what I told him is that I think you need to take all the different steps that are in your sales process, and then you need to pull them in and draw them out in a process that you can visualize for yourself and for the customer. Because the first thing you're going to do, meeting number one, is you're going to spend 20 minutes talking about the process, making sure that they have demand to say, okay, so this is what the product does. These are the results we've created for other customers. And when they say, oh, that's great, like how do you want to do this? Like, how do we proceed? What are the next steps? You sell the process. So selling the process is a concept I've used not just in POCs, but in all sorts of B2B sales processes, which is the first thing you do is you create a timeline with the customer that creates some sort of accountability that you're actually going to walk through the sale, which is to say, okay, so we're going to go through these 4 steps so that you can make an informed decision of whether you want to buy or not. And at the end of it, after step 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, do you agree that you will be able to make a decision? Yes. Okay, that's great. Do you agree that we should be able to make these next sort of 4 steps in the next 60 days? Yes, great. Let's put them in the calendar or figure out who has to be involved in each of these steps so that we can get you to a decision faster. So what you're not saying is, oh, I want you to say yes. You're rather going to say, I'm going to create a process that informs you so that you can make the right decision, even if that is a no. So that is critical because you don't want to sell the product here, you just want to sell the process first. So this creates a lot of trust, and it actually also creates a lot of accountability. So for example, right now I'm shooting this video early November. I would say to a customer, hey, let's set this process in so that we can make a decision before Christmas, right? Everybody wouldn't want to think about this over Christmas, right? Oh, haha, all right. So let's get it done by, let's say, December 15th, like that's a whatever Wednesday. So that would be great. So you sell the process first, you can have this visualized in a slide. Say, hey, these are the steps that I think we should go through. A lot of other clients appreciate this. Do you have anything that you want to add or not? And they can add something, they can pull something out. And when you sell the process, they can say, oh, yeah, this next step here, I put in the business case, our whatever CRO or CMO needs to be involved in that. And he or she is on PTO like that week, so we need to push another week. Perfectly fine. You put in a new date. You're agile, you work around them, but you commit them to that process. So you sell and close that process. So then you have a few steps, and really the idea here is to then put them in the right order. So maybe the next step is to say, okay, before we do any of the other sort of heavy lifting, I just want to sit down and do like some business case work with you. So who needs to be involved in that? Okay, the CRO, the CMO, whoever. Let's do a meeting next week. Let's do a full hour. I'll bring some case studies, like could this work, and we'll walk through some math. And then you build a business case for them so they see the values there, so they see the numbers sort of pan out. And of course, they get to do something else in terms of like asking questions about the process. But what they don't do is they don't get a technical diligence, because you then do that in the next meeting, let's say. So say, hey, like let the right people, like the technical users of the product, do the demo, do the technical due diligence, so that we don't spend sort of business owner time on that. But you can, of course, like talk to the technical people if they like the product or not. But we'll do the business case with the right people, and then we'll do the technical due diligence with the right people for that, so that we have that mapped out. And then after that, maybe we meet and we do some POC planning. And this is where the POC comes in. Because what most POCs do poorly is that they just start without having the final solution agreement in place, which means that they become an asset that you can use in order to make a sale, rather than you make the sale and then the POC just becomes the validation of that sale. And that's what you want. So what you want is you want the validation to be a definite, let's say, you want the customer to be able to opt out of buying the solution, not having to opt in at the end of the POC. So in order to do that, you need some POC planning. You need to say, hey, we run POCs all the time with our clients, and we have like 5 really good ways of running them. So let's sit down and discuss which one is good for you. And of course, we'll like make some adjustments to fit it just perfectly to your case and your business and all these things. But let's do this. And then in the POC planning, you plan the POC. So you plan a date where it starts. You plan a check-in when you will measure the KPIs, the results. You, of course, also agree on what those KPIs are. So it might be, hey, we're gonna whatever, increase leads or reduce this or increase that, whatever it is that your product does. We're gonna do that in the POC. And then we're gonna check in here at this date that it actually happened. And then you're gonna have a timeline, 30 days, 180 days, doesn't matter, but a timeline before you can then opt out. And then at the opt-out period, if you haven't opted out, we are going to assume that we are going to start implementation of the full solution and send you an invoice for the full solution because you are now subscribed, right? So what the POC planning does, and because you structure it in this way, is that it makes it really clear what the success criteria are. You're not committing them to anything because they can opt out for any reason. Even you can hit all your KPIs and they can still opt out, that's fine. You can't force them to say yes until the actual sort of opt-out period. But what it also does, it forces the right people into the POC process, because very often what goes wrong in POCs is that you're selling to the wrong person. You're selling to the champion. You're selling to someone that really loves your product and really wants to use it in the big organization, but they actually don't have the budget, they don't have the mandate to buy it. So a poor POC is really successful from a KPI basis, but now is something that the champion can then take to the actual buyer and say, hey, look at this great POC and all the results we had. I really think we should buy it for the whole thing. But what you haven't done is you haven't actually gotten the buyer interested, and maybe the buyer had different KPIs or different preferences for the POC. So by doing it this way, you force the customer, the organization that you're selling to send the buyer into the planning meeting, because you're saying, hey, what we're going to do in the POC is we're going to sign you up for the full deal. You're going to get full opt-outs, but this is how we run POCs. We run it as a validation of the actual purchase. So now the actual buyer is in the POC planning and says, oh, I want these KPIs, they're much better, and I want like more opt-out period. And you just say, sure. You do all that, close the POC planning. And then at that point and say, hey, it depends on what it costs. You say, sure, we can now have the commercial offer ready for you because now we know what success looks like for you guys. We know how the POC looks and everything. So you then sit down and you send them an offer. You discuss it with them in a meeting, and then you get to do some negotiation. And once you're with that, you then push it to legal. Legal do their round of negotiations. You then sign something, and then you can start the POC. So the idea is that when you pull in the actual buyer before the commercial offer, then that buyer is also de facto involved in evaluating the commercial offer and in evaluating the final contract, which then kicks off the POC. You hit all your KPIs, you check in now with the actual buyer in the process, who then hopefully does not opt out, and then you have a sale. So I've used this process within marketing tech, within oil and gas, within a lot of different verticals with shorter sales cycles, longer sales cycles, even in sort of RFP environments and all these things. And it sort of kind of works, like almost regardless of where you put it in. And so the idea is that one of the reasons it kind of works is that first you had the sell the process element, which really just structures everything and just speeds everything up and holds them accountable to interact in the sale, because nobody actually wants to say yes to a process and then don't show up for the meetings and don't agree. Oh yeah, I know that we said that we would get it done before Christmas. I'll make that call and get those people involved, whatever it is, right? So that is a really, really key element. It also creates a lot of structure in your sales process. It's a good mechanism with which to just orchestrate all your activities in your sales teams. And then this POC process where you pull the buyer in to do the planning so that the POC becomes an opt-out function is sort of the second big concept here in play. So this is for this actual business, the fast-growing AI startup that we're advising is just being launched. They have some really outrageous targets for next year. So we're hoping that they're going to hit those, of course. So maybe I'll report back on how it went in that actual case, but I'm pretty confident that this process is going to lift their sales motion quite a bit. So excited about that. I hope it's helpful to you as well. It's worked in a bunch of other cases that we've done. So just, swipe it and good luck.